You're right here on KBC Channel 1. Now we have shifted from matters on NYS and just having our guests there saying and reiterating that they are working to stamp out corruption in that particular sector or rather firm or other organization, that arm of government, because NYS is government, right? So now we shift focus and focus on matters of sugar, sukari. We all have sweet teeth and we know what the sugar industry means for the country, employing millions of Kenyans directly and indirectly. Around 6 million Kenyans are, benefiting from the arm or rather from the sugar industry. But sugar wars still continue. Joining me this morning is none other than the chair of the Kenya Alliance of Sugarcane Farmers, Mr. Stephen Ole Narupa. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you for your time. Now when we talk about sugar, sukari, mambo ya sukari are very emotive, especially in sugar growing regions. Yeah. Now let's start off with the parliamentary report of 2015 that linked the sugar deficit to a scheme by sugar importers to ship in cargo. Is this true, or do you concur with the findings of this particular report?
Thank you so much. There is this report of sugar deficit in the country. It has been there since 2008. It is actually 280 metric tons since 2008. Up to date, there is still a deficit of 2,280 metric tons. Up to date, we are complaining. Why are we having deficit each and every year? Why are we not growing enough sugar? Why are we importing sugar from other countries? Why our country is being a dumping site of the other developed world? So we are complaining as farmers. We want to have enough sugar in the country. We have capacity. We have mills. We can produce enough sugar to the country. So, for example, we have been given a lot of maybe a lot of companies to import sugar from outside the country. We are not being told we are given A and B this amount of sugar to import from the other countries. But we are just given, okay, we have a deficit of 280 metric tons. Why 280 tons? Why are we not given, okay, company A will bring 120 metric tons. Company B will bring 80 metric tons. But what we are complaining about when we farmers, we are complaining about it. Why is it being given a lot of sugar to be coming in? We are not actually auditing the sugar which is coming to the country. We are complaining about it. What is the deficit, exact deficit? What amount are they importing from outside the country?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You've raised very pertinent issues there, and what I'm hearing is the issue you're questioning the issue of clarity. You need to know who is importing how much,
yes,
and as well as an audit to the quality of assurance in regard to this sugar that is getting into our local market.
Yeah.
Over the years, we had the issue of counterfeit, and sugar is one, and the cashew was quite was destroyed there, and it was said to have had components of mercury.
Yeah.
I think you're borrowing from that particular experience there. Now that you've said you have the requisite capacity to bridge the deficit, the sugar production deficit,
yes.
Why haven't you done so as sugarcane farmers?
We as farmers, we have been actually complaining about it. For example, farmers are not being paid enough for their raw materials. For example, if at all farmers will be motivated to do a lot of cane in the country, then we will not have even any deficit. For example, they were talking of mercury, wherever the sugar was imported with a lot of mercury, but there's no substantial evidence showing that there was mercury. Why is he coming to the country? What are they doing? The KBS, what are they doing? Why are they not auditing? Why are they not seeing all this? And then after he has come to the country, we come to realize there was a sugar with a mercury. Where is that mercury up to date? It has disappeared. But the way farmers, we want to be paid enough. For example, if I be paid at 10,000 shillings per ton, and then I'll be able to produce enough sugar, I'll go to the shamba and I'll have a lot of shambas, we'll get a lot of sugar, then we'll not have any other deficit in the whole country. But now, the farmers are paying peanuts, 3,600. And you expect that farmer to go again to the shamba. You have a lot of bills, you have debts, you have kids to go to school, maybe you have hospital bills, and you expect that farmer to go again and do larger farmers, or to do larger scale, for them to benefit actually. we are not happy as farmers of this country. We want the CS of agriculture, for example, to do due diligence to the farmers because we are not getting enough pay. Yes.
Now, talking about pay, let's also, from a farmer point of view, you are in the value chain.
Yes.
You're actually in the nascent stage of sugar production.
Yes.
Then. When you talk about trying to address the high cost of production and low yields, then what recommendations would you have in regard to that matter?
For example, if, in our country, for example, Kenya, the cost of production is too high if you compare to the other countries. For example, Uganda is now dumping sugar to the country. They are buying at 1,200 per ton. Here, Kenya, we are selling at 3,600. Do you expect the millers to go and do the shambas, or they will just go and get the cheap sugar from Uganda? So we as farmers, we want to be motivated so that we can get enough sugar. We can produce enough sugar if we get, for example, if we have good, very cheap fertilizers, very cheap Sugarcanes, and then even the price of fuel is too high for us to go to use it to the shambas. So if we can get subsidized, for example, fertilizer and Sugarcane, the farmers will go to the shamba and get enough Sugarcane, enough shambas, enough cane, so that this country can produce enough sugar instead of us going to the neighboring country, bringing the cheap sugar from Uganda, for example, and this other developed world. Yes.
Now, still looking at the value chain and focusing on the production, there's been a conversation around, most millers are using aged equipment as well as obsolete technology, in sugarcane production. What, as farmers, are you going to do in regard to, upgrade these machines? I mean, we are lowering the cost of production.
Okay, for example, the government introduce CTC center, that is cane testing, testing unit. They already use sucrose, you test the sucrose and you've been paid using sucrose. But now in our country, if you want to use sucrose to pay the farmer, then you have to have enough or sufficient transport. In our country, we don't have enough roads, we don't have good roads. So if you do the CTC, for example, if you do the cane testing unit, and then you will not be able to transport cane on time. Maybe, for example, I'm from Transmara. Transmara, there's a lot of rain each and every time. You cannot be able to transport your cane throughout unless it will stay in the shamba for a long period, 2 to 3 weeks. So that one will not work in this country unless they use other means, but not the one we are using at the moment.
Now, talking about means, maybe Stephen Narupa, there's a chairman of the Kenya Alliance of Sugarcane Farmers.
Yes.
Maybe you can help me understand, and also our viewers this morning, what process then does the cane go through before we get to, have it in our favorite beverages? What's the process?
Thank you. You start by doing the preparation of the shamba. You plant a cane, you do weeding, then after that you harvest.
Is cane a seed? Let's start from there.
Yes, cane is
let's go to the basics.
Yes.
Do you buy it as a seed?
You buy as a seed. Yes, it is a seed because it is a plant crop. And then it has some maturity time when it's reached, and then you harvest it. And then you go and put in the shamba, you furrow the shamba, and then you just line up, and then you cut into pieces, and then the time it grows. Then after that it grows, then you wait for some 18 months to 24 months to harvest. After you harvest, maybe you contracted a certain company. For example, you contracted Transmara Sugar Company, Sony Sugar Company, Sukari Industry. And then when it's reached the maturity time, and then they will come and harvest for you. Then they will charge you the harvest. For example, in Transmara, being charged 300 shillings per ton. That is the farmer. Then transport will cost you another 790 shillings. That cost will still go to the farmer.
So getting it from the shamba that is harvesting and transporting it is around 1,090 shillings.
Yes, 1,090 shillings for a ton. For a ton. And then we still have cess 1%. And then
1%
cess 1%.
1090.
Yes, of 1090.
It's around 180.
It's around 1,000 shillings.
Yes, 1,000 shillings.
Yes. Then after that, and then you wait for the factory to crush, and then you'll be paid. Others are not able to pay the farmer. For example, if you go to the state-owned mill, they don't pay the farmer for the last maybe 2-3 years. Others are not being paid up to that. And then you find the private millers are the one dominating the sugar industry. Others are able to pay on weekly, and then others are even delaying to 2 months. So the farmer will be still making a lot of loss. You wait for 24 to 26 months, 3 years, not been paid, and then again you wait for another 3 months after the cane has been crushed. If you go to the state-owned mill, you find there's no cane. Okay, you have harvested the cane, you have supplied to the factory on time, and then after that they crush, they sell the sugar, there's no money. If you go to the store, there's no sugar and there's no money. Where do those money go?
Good question. Now, when you're talking about state-owned mills,
yes.
the issue of privatization of these state-owned mills,
yes.
is this the answer to your question?
Yeah, it will be the good answer, because if we do the privatization, and then it means you will give an investor to invest in your country, for example. And then we are wondering why the government is doing business with the taxpayer. We are the taxpayers and the government doing business with us. Why do the government own the mills? Why are they just relinquish that to the farmers or to the investor? So if we get this own state mill to the private investor, and then we will get enough sugar in the country will not even have a deficit, will and produce enough sugar to the country. So to me, I can see privatization is the best way to go. Yes.
Now, maybe you're supporting the statistics that we have here is that when you look at the production in terms of capacity, what has been produced in the year 2020, we have public millers accounting for 14% of the sugar produced, while private millers accounted for 86% of the sugar. Is this the state?
Okay, this is 2017 if I'm not wrong.
2020.
2020, even 2018, 2017, the same statistic. If you will ask, for example, Narupa, when did these people do this statistic? I am from the sugar growing area. They never been in our area. They just took the statistic from the millers. Maybe the miller will cheat them and then they'll record it because they are not working actually. There before they were using, there was a group called the Sugar Board, and then there was, and then they changed to Sugar Directorate. They were supposed to actually to regulate the sugar industry, and now they are not doing it. They were using SDL, Sugar Development Levy, to do all this statistic. And we as farmers, we are the one producing, okay, we are the one paying the SDL, and the miller paying the 2% from the farmer, 2% from the miller. And then the mismanagement of those money. They mismanage it. They just come to Nairobi and have the statistic in Nairobi. They are not going to the shambas. They are not going to the field so that they can get real statistics. These are just cheating reports, not reality.
So you're not it's not the reality.
Not the reality.
On ground. Oh, can you paint a picture of what the reality looks like on ground in terms of our production capacity and where we are, at least for the last 1 year or so?
For the last 1 year, for example, if you go to the back to the last year, there was a lot of sugar which has been imported to the country. And then they were telling us there's a deficit of 280 metric tons, and you find they just import about 10,000 metric, 1 million metric tons, for example. How do you substantiate that it was 280 metric tons and yet you brought in 1 million metric tons? That is number one. If they were following their statistics, they could have even know this is the deficit, and then we are going to allow company A and B to bring in this one. But for now, they are not following the right statistic.
Mr. Narupa, now,
yes.
Straight question.
Yes.
The reforms that have been put in place in the sugar industry, are they working or are they not?
At the moment, there's no reforms.
We have the Sugar Task Force, they gave a report.
We have the Farmers Task Force also give the report. We gave to the former Prime Minister, we gave to the President, we gave to the CS Agriculture, but up to date there's no reform. Good enough, Honorable Munya did a gazette of the report. And then after that, there is a group rush to court to stop the process. Now here, the farmers doesn't have the regulations. We are just doing anyhow. If you want to do your own cane, if you want to do any, you will do whatever you want alone. But if we could have the regulation, and then this country will have enough sugar, we'll have the guideline to produce enough sugar. But at now, there's no regulation. Number two, the team which is working with the government, they're the one who took the government to court. We have a case now in Kakamega High Court, Bungoma High Court, stopping the regulation which has been gazetted by the minister. Yes.
It seems that, like, stakeholders within the value chain are shooting themselves in the foot in regard, to just trying and bringing the sugar industry back to profitability. But pulling in different directions.
Yeah, if you go to it, this sugar industry has a lot of issues. It has a lot of corruption, being honest. If you find the other team is fighting the other team because they just want farmers to be stuck there. For example, if today you told me, Narupa, you are not going to sell your sugarcane to factory A. Why am I be denied that? That is my right. I have to send my cane where I want. For example, why are we not having a free market? Now I'm seeing there is something called zoning. They want to zone the farmers to not sell their produce to anywhere they want.
Yeah, you just picked that off my brain here. I just want, maybe let's just address it. You're talking about zoning, a form that has been, or rather, one of the objectives of this zoning is to bring profitability to the farmer. But now as a farmer, you're saying this curtails your sale. You know who buys your cane faster, who pays you better. In regard to zoning, maybe you can give us more information.
For example, if we have been told we zone the farmers, they have they have created a region, or they are calling a catchment area.
Yes.
And then you want to zone me as a farmer to not supply cane to the other miller. For example, me, I like you as a miller, I want to supply you my cane. And then you as a government, you want to deny me my right to sell my cane where I can see that I will be paid better, promptly, on time, and then you want me to sell my cane to the miller who is not able to pay. 2,000 farmers are not being paid, and you still forcing me to sell my produce to the same person. Is that right? For example, they are free to sell their produce wherever they want. They will send their sugar from Transmara to Mombasa, from Mombasa to maybe Moyale. And as farmers, we want to do also the free market. We want to do free market, free business. Sokohuru, we want to be in Sokohuru. Why are they denying us our rights? You sold me for what? This cane, it is me who go to the shamba. I went alone to the shamba. After the maturity time, that is the time you came in and start telling me, oh, you don't have to sell your cane to this side. And you see the potato people are selling viazi from Nakuru to Nairobi. The fishermen are selling their fish to Nairobi. Why are they not selling fish to not come from Lake Victoria? Then they can produce fish here in Nairobi. Why is it the sugarcane farmers? Why are they not selling tea? Why are they not selling coffee? Why cane farmers?
So, Mr. Narupa, the zoning is not working?
No, not working. Even the task force, farmers task force, we denied. The farmers said no for zoning. We want a free market. That is our stand.
Now, as we stand, do you see futuristically, where do you see sugarcane farming industry locally? Because there's been talk about some farmers not willing to go the long haul in the sugar industry or rather sugar production because of what you've mentioned. They're not getting value for their money.
Yes.
So are you seeing a case where these farmers are going to diversify into other cash crops and, in favor, because sugarcane is not working anymore?
Yeah, it is possible because, for example, we as, for example, from Transmara, we normally do ng'ombe. Now we are seeing this crop is not beneficial. Then we have to decide to go back to ng'ombe, and then we change, and then that factory will start there, and then it will collapse. So if the government will not be strict on the regulations and force these cartels to leave the farmers to be in a free market, and then all the millers will collapse. But if the government, the CS who is in charge at the moment, control the sugar industry, I'm telling you, it is a profitable industry. For example, if I can add you something. I saw industrial ministry last week. They were in Uganda negotiating with the Uganda government so that they can bring in cheap sugar to the country.
Actually, it is already a signed agreement, trade agreement last week there, where Uganda is going to be allowed to import up to 90,000 metric tons of sugar into the country.
That is just in papers, 90,000 metric tons. If you go in paper. If you go in detail, to be millions of metric tons. And again, the industrial ministry, without even I don't know whether it has consulted the Ministry of Agriculture. It is industrial. Industrial doesn't grow sugar. We have the Ministry of Agriculture who is supposed to be in charge of that. And why are they?
Government, they have made that conversation.
Yeah, I know it's a government, but why? We are also, the farmers or the mwananchi is more than a government. We are the one of the government. That we need to be given enough support. For example, there is a group of Ministry of Agriculture, not in parliamentary agriculture committee. They are now proposing to have again zoning. And those who are sitting in that committee are the members of parliament from those areas.
Well, the sugar industry indeed has a lot of challenges and woes. Thank you very much, Stephen Ole Narupa, who is the chair of the Kenya Alliance of Sugarcane Farmers, saying that sugarcane farmers need a lot of support, subsidized fertilizer, as well as harmonization of some of the policies that they say or rather regard as draconian and in, stifling the growth or rather return of profitability of the sugar industry. I'm Regina Manyara. You've been watching Good Morning Kenya right here on KBC Channel 1. Thank you very much for your time. Coming up in not too long is the JSC interviews there with only 2 candidates remaining, and the one who's going to be sitting on the hot seat this morning is none other than